Hi, Neil from BlueMapProperties.com. In this lesson, we are going to learn some key basic terms that every investor must know to be able to communicate effectively. Are you new to investing? Do you have a fear of sounding like you have no clue what you're talking about? Have you read the textbook definition of terms used in the field and still don't feel comfortable with them? You're in the right spot. Today, we are going to discuss some very important terms that every investor needs to know to be able to communicate effectively with both brokers and other investors. We'll be using a calculator, so either bring it up on your laptop or grab a portable one now, but have it ready. Today, we are going to discuss gross potential income, vacancy, gross operating income, operational expenses, net operating income, cap rate, capital expenditures. Gross potential income, or GPI, is the max amount of income that the property has the potential of producing. In the perfect world, the property would never be vacant, and your clients would always pay and pay on time. This is what the GPI is. To calculate the GPI, you simply multiply the number of units by their monthly rents, and then multiply that by 12 to get the annual GPI. Vacancy and credit loss. In the last slide, we spoke about the perfect scenario, but we all know that the property will have some vacancy and the occasional client that doesn't pay. So to account for that, we use the line item vacancy credit loss. This number is usually displayed as a percent. So we can either say the property has 10% vacancy, or we could say it has 90% occupancy. Both say the same thing in just a slightly different manner. That gets us to the gross operating income. Gross operating income, also known as economic income, is a very important number. This number represents what the property is actually bringing in. Sellers may say to you the property is 95% occupied, and it very well may be, but that doesn't mean they are collecting on all of those clients. Just because someone is living there doesn't necessarily equate to them paying rent. You could easily have a 95% occupancy, but only 80% of them that are living there are paying rent. So you really want to know what the GOI, or economic income, is. To calculate it, you add together the vacancy loss and the credit loss, then subtract that number from the gross potential income, or GPI. Your operating expenses. Operating expenses are those recurring expenses. It's those expenses that keep the property running. Items like insurance, taxes, utilities, lawn care and snow plowing, admin and marketing, property management, and minor repairs and maintenance, usually under $1,000 or so. So things like unclogging a drain, replacing a brick in the exterior steps, repairing a pothole in the parking lot, things along those lines. Net operating income, or NOI for short, is found by subtracting the operating expenses from the economic income. NOI, though a simple number, is a very important frequently used number. The capitalization rate, or cap rate, is used to compute the value of a property. In its most basic form, if you were to purchase a property for all cash, the cap rate is what you would expect to receive as a return for your investment. Each type of property and each property class within that type have their own cap rate. Cap rates are also market specific. So a cap rate in Greenville, South Carolina will be different from the cap rate in Charleston, South Carolina. To find the cap rate, you just divide the value of the property by the property's NOI. The relationship between cap rate, NOI, and value. If you know two of the above, you can solve for the third. So NOI divided by cap rate equals value. Value multiplied by cap rate equals NOI. And NOI divided by value equals cap rate. Let's grab some practice to reinforce the concepts of figuring out how to value a property. We're looking to find what cap rate a seller is offering a property at. He tells us that the property is producing an NOI of $150,000 and that the asking price is $1.5 million. What is the cap rate? I'll give you a couple of seconds to grab your calculator and plug in the numbers. All right, for those of you that might need a hint, plug it into the formula there. So let's plug this into the formula. The formula is NOI divided by value. So 150,000 divided by the sale price of 1.5 million equals 0.1 or 10%. So we would say the property is being offered at a 10 cap. Let's do one more. Through your underwriting, you have assessed the NOI of a property as 125,000. You are very familiar with the market and know that like properties have traded for a 6 cap in this market. What is the value of the property? Once again, if you'd like a hint, plug it into the formula there. All right, let's plug in the numbers. The formula we will use to figure out the value is NOI divided by cap rate. So 125,000 divided by 0.06 equals a value of 2.083 million. Now let's talk about capital expenditures, or CapEx for short. CapEx are those big ticket items. Items like flooring, HVACs, roofs, parking lot repaving, or installing new low flow toilets throughout. Having a command of these terms will allow you to conversation and understand what investors and brokers are talking about. These terms are the ones that you should be so familiar with that you don't even think about them, or what they mean, or when to use them. Practice and fully understanding the relationship between cap rate, NOI, and the value of a property. Come back next week as we will be discussing a few more terms that will broaden your knowledge and vocabulary in the real estate investing world. Until we meet again, I want you to go out there and I want you to be unstoppable.